My breathing is not the best. It runs in my family. A lot of us hold our breath, talk, get the exercise, the movement done, whatever we're doing, and then start breathing again.
So she says it runs in her family. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about Jacqueline Adan. Now, Jacqueline is someone that came up on YouTube on social media around the same time that I did. She is what I would consider kind of a weight loss influencer, or at least she was when she kind of first started her journey. Now, if you're unfamiliar with who Jacqueline is, the best way to explain it is that she is, a weight loss influencer that in the past recent years has really kind of been struggling with weight gain and how that has affected her life. And it's been quite significant. Now, I've wanted to talk about Jacqueline in the past, but I've avoided doing so because it seems like she is going through quite a bit. But the things that have been happening recently have kind of stepped up and exacerbated a lot of stuff that was happening in the past, to where I almost feel like I kind of have to, along with lots of messages of people asking me to talk about this. So I think the best way to kind of explain who Jacqueline is to first show, this is when I did talk about her. So this whole video that I released, so this was a video that was titled Weight Loss Influencers Can't Gain Weight. And this video wasn't really about her, but I mentioned her a little bit in the video because I was talking about a post that I made on Instagram, and she ended up commenting on that. And as you can see like the before. She was bigger, she lost a lot of weight, and then she's gained quite a bit of weight since then. And then this was uploaded a few years ago, so it's only gotten, I guess, I don't know if you want to say worse, but she's only gained more weight from this kind of area. Yo, huge news, super excited about this. I want to announce that I have finally released the merch, you guys. So we have different Obese to Beast stuff. So this is a hat that has the Obese to Beast logo. The new metal logo is what I'm calling it, which I'm really proud of this because I made this logo myself in Photoshop. Very, very happy with it. It says Obese to Beast in like a metal font. If you can kind of read it, it says it there. But we have a bunch of different colors. The sizes in this shirt go up to a 4XL. So there's a bunch of different colors that you can choose from with that one. I really like this shirt. This is a faded kind of like vintage looking shirt, and so really excited about that one. And then we have hoodies as well, bunch of different colors in the hoodies. And then this is the Dunch Bros t-shirt for all of my Amberlyn Reed fans. If you know, you know, but we have a bunch of different colors in this shirt as well, the Dunch Bros shirt. And so if you want to order anything, there will be a link down in the description. It all helps out, and so I really appreciate it, but I'm really stoked with how this came out. I'm really, really happy with it. It was designed by me and Rachel. Rachel helped with the Dunch Bros stuff, but I was able to make the metal logo, which I am just super happy with because this is something that I actually am going to be wearing quite frequently. And so really happy with how it came out. So if you want to check that out, please go ahead and go to the link in the description to check it out for yourself. But thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. Right. And so the best way that we can kind of explain what's going on is that we're going to go over these stories that, again, these were uploaded quite a while ago, 133 weeks, but it goes over the things that happened for a good period of her life, so you guys can kind of understand what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and read these stories. Some of them we're going to skip through because they have some images that we cannot show here. So she goes on to say, I have always struggled with my weight ever since I was little. I went on every diet you could imagine. It got so bad that I found myself weighing over 500 pounds. So she weighed over 500 pounds before she lost weight, right? I had my moment after getting stuck in a turnstile at my favorite place, Disneyland. Jacqueline is a huge Disney freak, right? Disney adult. I don't know if those are derogatory terms, but she's someone that really enjoys Disneyland, right? Disney stuff. I went and cried in the bathroom, and then Disney magic took over. I wiped my eyes and told myself I can do this. My journey was hard, but I never gave up. In about 3.5 years, I lost around 350 pounds by changing my diet and exercising. I didn't have weight loss surgery. So she lost all of this weight from, just kind of diet and exercise. That left my body covered in loose skin. So she obviously had quite a bit of loose skin after this. All of that loose skin was causing lots of physical and mental problems and issues. So I began the process of having skin removal surgeries. after losing weight, was still struggling. I was barely eating, unaliving myself in the gym, and was not healthy. I was told how I was told how good I looked, but inside I was not okay. Now this is important because this is a lot of what she talks about now, is that, you know, she struggles with an ED, and that is the reason that she can't really be on a diet, because that will only trigger and exacerbate those issues because of the things that she went through when she was losing weight. And I don't want to discredit that, but that's another sign of, like, when you are losing weight, you have to understand that you have to have a plan of once you lose the weight, right? What are you going to do once you lose the weight? And if the goal is like, I just want to be as small as possible, eventually that's just, you can't continue getting smaller, right? And so it's not the best plan. I'm not saying that was her plan or anything like that, but she goes on to say, eventually I began to gain weight. So she gained a little bit of weight. After fighting to get the help I needed, I began seeing a ED therapist. I was diagnosed with BED, right? And so that's the ED that she has, is BED, right? I can't use the terms because it'll get flagged. I am now doing my best to make physical and mental health my top priority. A few months ago, I was also diagnosed with lipedema. As you can tell, I'm sure from the images, she obviously, her fat looks a little bit different than like standard fat. So clearly she definitely has lipedema. I wouldn't discredit that. She goes on to say, I'm not 100% comfortable or confident in my body at my size right now. I would like to lose more weight. However, my goal is to be healthy and happy and feel good in my body again. Now, I don't think we need to really go over the rest of the stories because they kind of go over a lot of the others, like a lot of the stuff over again. And I don't think it's super necessary to go over it, but I just wanted to share that. So that's kind of the backdrop and the things that have been happening, right? The past few years, again, this was uploaded like years ago, right? These stories that we were just reading, the past few years have only exacerbated the things that have happened. And it's not even the amount of weight that Jacqueline has gained, because, I mean, it is a significant amount of weight. And I think at this point, she's probably either larger or as large as she was at the starting weight, right? But it's definitely gotten to a point where it's definitely a problem, right? And a lot of people have been messaging me, asking me what I think about it, because they know that I've been friendly with her. I've talked about her on the channel before. Now, so the next thing that I wanted to go over are more of the recent posts that have happened, and the things that she's been talking about, so we can kind of go over the mindset that's happening right now and why I think that focusing too much on that kind of mindset is going to make it really hard to make these significant changes that are necessary to, kind of save your life and make your life a little bit better. This first reel that we are going to be going over is from February of this year, right? So this was only about a month ago. And she is replying to this comment where it says, "You've lost and gained just like me. Your experience is so more dramatic. What has happened?" Right. So this is someone that's kind of saying, I kind of relate to you, right? I've lost and gained, but it seems like your experience is more dramatic. And so she goes on to say in the caption, right? "Repeat after me. Everyone's journey is different. It's okay if my journey looks different than everyone else's. I will focus on my journey and what is best for me. I will continue to move forward with love, patience, compassion, understanding, strength, and grace. I did not choose to have the hardships that I have. In fact, every day I wish that they would all go away. But the reality is I must face the challenges, the hardships, and the struggles head on and do the best I can moving forward on my own journey. It's not easy. It's not fun. And I can't tell how many days I've cried, but I know that I can make it if I just keep moving forward and not give up. I know this journey is hard and it's knocked me down more times than I can count, but I promise myself I will never give up and I will keep moving forward. My story is different. My journey is different, and that is okay." And so I want to say, like, there is nothing wrong with struggling with your weight, right? There's nothing wrong with struggling with gaining weight after losing weight. It's a completely normal thing. I think where the problem is when you are not really taking any accountability for it and you are continuing to post on social media, basically trying to be an influencer and trying to influence and trying to do the things that influencers do, while still very much so struggling with all of the things that you are kind of like trying to help other people with, if that makes sense. With all that being said, let's watch a little bit of this reel.
Because I've seen it a lot in different kind of forms and wording about why is my journey like this when yours isn't, and why am I struggling so much when you didn't. And no hate or anything to this person who commented this. It's just something that I wanted to address. This is just like a reminder too about how everyone's journey is different. My journey is different than yours. Even if we both gained 100 pounds, our bodies would look and be different. Even if we both lost 100 pounds, our bodies would look and feel different and need different things and go through different things and experience different things. It's nothing to be ashamed about of your journey, even if it doesn't look like someone else's. Even if you do the same thing as someone else, it's not going to be the same. And I think this was a hard thing for me to think about, because I would think if I do all of these things, quote unquote, right, then this should be the outcome. And I feel like especially these last few years, it taught me that life can come at you pretty fast. It can be pretty unfair, pretty scary. And no matter how much you feel like you're doing right, life can always knock you down, kick you in the face, and humble you very quickly. And so I think this is just that reminder of everyone's journey is different. And I'm glad this person, isn't going through what I went through. It doesn't appear to have as many hurdles or obstacles as I did. But at the same time, everyone is different. Everyone's story and journey, what they've been through, what they're struggling with, what are challenging to them is different for every single person. Because just by looking at someone, we can't tell what someone's going through. We don't know what they're going through, what they've...
And like hearing all of that stuff, it's not like I disagree with what she's saying, right? But like if someone has, like Jacqueline has gained hundreds of pounds in a relatively short amount of time, it is, I think, fair for the audience that they have curated over years, right, of people that are also wanting to lose weight or have lost weight. If they are curious, it seems like they are almost always kind of chastised for asking about like what is going on, because from what I've seen in a lot of the posts, it's always like, oh, this is what's going on that's causing all of this weight gain. This is what's going on. Instead of like just being like, hey man, I've really been struggling with, like, I've been eating way too much, or I haven't, obviously the point that Jacqueline is at, like the amount of exercise that's going to happen is going to be very low, but like it's going to be the eating, right? And it's like taking responsibility. Like one of my favorite things, right? You've heard me say this a bazillion times, right? If you've been watching my channel, is that fault and responsibility are two different things, right? So just because something isn't your fault does not mean that it's not your responsibility to change it. So it seems that Jacqueline has had a lot of things that are not her fault that are going on. But if she wants to make a change and live a life that she is happy with, where she's able to do the things that she wants, like go to Disneyland, because that's something that she used to do all the time, you have to take some responsibility and be like, I need to make these changes and I need to work on these things, even though it's not my fault that this is happening, right? And I think that's a really important part of the puzzle that it just seems to get glossed over. And as we go through these posts, you'll see that it just seems like there's a little bit of delusion in it, which can be really dangerous, right?
Where they've been, where they're going. And so comments like that of, but why are you struggling like that? I didn't. Or you're making your journey so much harder because you're doing X, Y, and Z is not helpful. We should just embrace what we're given, do the best we can on our journey and with the cards that we're dealt, and move forward with love, compassion, patience, and support for ourselves, but also for other people. Because no two journeys are the same, no two stories are the same, and everyone is just doing the best that they can.
And so, like, watching that video, I think it's pretty clear, like, she's not someone, at least for me, there's some people that I see on social media, I'm like, oh, this is a, I'm kind of a certified hater, let's be real. And there's some people on social media where I can see them, I'm like, oh, this person's like, I don't like them. And like immediately, right? I think to myself, I don't like this person. This person is easy to hate on, right? For me, at least, Jacqueline is not that way. But I think the reason that she is not that way is because she's able to word herself and like say things in a way that make a lot of sense. But if you're someone that's been following along for a long time, you're like, I feel like this stuff isn't really adding up, and it's just like, it just keeps getting progressively worse and worse and worse, and there's zero accountability being taken over all this time. And I feel like when you see a lot of people that are leaving these comments, most of them are like, I've been following you for XYZ amount of time, and I'm like, I feel for you, and I'm sorry that you're going through that, but it doesn't seem like anything is changing, and it doesn't seem like there's any real progress being made. And like, obviously, you know, life isn't linear, and it's not like there's going to be, you know, I'm going to make this change and then boom, everything's solved. But it's like, people are just seeing all of these posts about like, oh, this is something that's going wrong. This is something that's going wrong. And a lot of it is just like, it's very scary, right? For a lot of people, like the next video that I want to go over is this one right here, where it's just like, if you look at, you know, the state of Jacqueline, it genuinely does look scary, right? Like things are not looking good, right? And so she goes on to write in this post, POV, first time doing walking outside with others instead of alone in my house. It was very emotional, right? And she went on to write, first time walking with other people outside instead of alone in my house. And let me just say, it was hard. I cried before and I cried after, but I did it. This is so hard to share, but this is real. This is my journey. This is me trying. This is me not giving up. This is me doing my best. I feel ashamed, mortified, embarrassed. But with every step, I am realizing those feelings and trying to switch them to love, strength, and patience. So here's to doing hard things. Here's to not giving up. Here's to continuing to move forward regardless of how many times you fell down. Here's to loving myself enough that I will not give up on myself one step and one day at a time. And this was, again, 8 weeks ago, right? And at this point, like with Jacqueline, like so many things have been lost to her, right? Like it seems like the ability to really walk any distance is something that's really hard. At this point, she's gotten like oxygen at home because she's really struggling with breathing. Things are just getting to be really bad, it seems. And it seems like there's never any mention of like losing weight would be a really big benefit to this, right? This would really help the situation, because whenever anyone brings that up, it's met with, well, I'm recovering from an ED, and like, how dare you mention that? How dare you even say that? Losing weight is, you know, not possible for me, or it's very, very difficult, and like I can't do that, and it's just like, I can't believe you would even suggest that, right? When I think most people that would see the state that she's in would be like, yeah, losing weight would be probably very helpful. I'm not saying that that's easy, right? But there are options, right? There are different things people can do to lose weight. Obviously, losing weight without any, like she said it herself, right? She did it without surgery the first time. So she obviously is capable of it to an extent. But there are other options now, right? There's GLP-1 medications. There's bariatric surgery. There's a lot of different options, right? And I feel like that is something that could be explored and could significantly improve the quality of her life. I'm not saying that Jacqueline has to be freaking as skinny as she was before. Absolutely not. That clearly was not the answer, right? But losing even 50 pounds could be really, really helpful, right? And then even more than that could be even more helpful, right? And so it's like, there's definitely things that can be worked on. Now, this next post is really the kind of reason that I made this video, because I was sent this post quite a few times, okay? And it's a very interesting post. So this is the post right here, where she is talking about getting oxygen at home. And I don't really want to spoil it, so I'll go ahead and read the caption first. But some of the stuff that's said in the post is, I think, why so many people had sent me this post, right? So she goes on to say, who knew breathing was so important? And then she put this in quotes. She added the quotes kind of afterwards, the parentheses. She goes on to say, since apparently I need to clarify this for some, yes, my weight plays a part in this, but it's not the only part. And yeah, I had this all of my life, just addressing it now. She's talking about her breathing issues. So again, it's just like bizarre that you would make a post like this and not be like, hey, like, you know, obviously my weight is causing some of these issues. It's just like people see that and they're like, what do you, like, clearly losing weight would be helpful, right? But she goes on to say, quick disclaimer, I filmed this video about a month ago and forgot to post it. So I've been on oxygen for about a month now, and it's been a game changer. Breathing properly is something I have struggled with for a while. And then she goes on to say, and yes, people of all ages and sizes can struggle with this, but I never addressed this because I never went to the doctor. You never went to the doctor. Okay, all right, whatever. Now I made a promise to myself that I am doing everything to make sure I am my healthiest and strongest self, which included going to the doctor and having my overall health checked so that I can make any changes I need so I can feel better. So breathing properly is one of them. So I don't really know what she means by haven't been to the doctor, because I know that she's had a lot of medical things that she's been going to the doctor quite a bit the past few years. And so I don't really know what that is in mention to, because it seems like she's gone to the doctor a lot. But again, as you can see, the weight isn't brought up, right? It was brought up after the fact, right? So that the part where I read that was after people had started leaving comments like, hello, like, don't you think losing weight would be helpful here? Like, would be a helpful thing? But again, let's keep moving on, right? At first, I was ashamed of needing at-home oxygen because when you are overweight, people like to blame every health ailment on the size of your body. So, like, there's certain things where I think that, blaming, your weight on it is like, come on, dude, like that's not going to be the only thing that affects that, right? But like when we're talking about like breathing and struggling to breathe and not being able to breathe on your own, and you are, a very large individual, of course, any normal person is going to be like, hey, losing weight would probably help this, right? And it's something that we do have control over versus other things in life. There are plenty of things that are going on in our lives that we don't have control over, but our weight to an extent is something that we do have control over, at least being incredibly large or being incredibly thin, right? There's a lot of gray area in between, but like, I don't know. I feel like common sense, right? So she goes on to say, so I just knew I would get comments in public and on social media about how I am fat and did this to myself and how my health is so bad that I need oxygen now. Again, it's like this binary thinking of like, people are going to say this, so I'm not going to talk about it or not going to do it. It's like, if you genuinely need the help, go for it, right? But it's like, no one is telling and forcing you to post about this stuff, right? No one's forcing you to be like, I'm going to be a social media influencer and talk about all of these struggles that I have. No one is forcing you to do that. And so like people that like, maybe I'm sound like a hater, but like people that choose to share struggles that they have online and then complain about the fact that people are going to have something to say about it. It's like, no one forced you to make this post, right? No one is forcing you to do this. So like the replies are going to be what the replies are, in my opinion. Right. And then she goes on, this is so far from the truth. So that her side, it's just interesting, right? Because she already said, right, again, I know it was after the fact. Apparently I need to clarify this, but for some, yes, my weight plays a part. But then she goes on to say down here that it's not her weight. It's again, that's what people are like, what is going on here? Like, what is actually what is the story you're trying to tell, right? It does get confusing, right? So she goes on to say, this is so far from the truth. And I hope that by talking about how normal this is, a lot of people do not breathe properly. We can really break the stigma and start having more conversations about how anyone at any size can struggle with certain things. So this was not about my health. Struggle with certain things. So this is not because my health is so bad, but because I am being productive about my health. So she's basically saying like, oh, I'm having oxygen at home, not because my health is bad, but because I'm trying to be proactive about the issues. And about being proactive about my health and helping myself truly heal. And I am learning that oxygen is nothing to be ashamed of because it is only helping me feel stronger, have more energy, walk and move easier, and have more brain clarity and less headaches. So here's to doing what we need to do in order to take care of ourselves without shame. I know this journey can be hard, but we just keep taking it one day at a time, one breath at a time. Right. And so with all that being said, let's go ahead and watch this video and see what she kind of has to say in it and like the explanation for why she has this oxygen.
At home, my breathing is not the best. It runs in my family. A lot of us hold our breath, talk, get the exercise, the movement done, whatever we're doing, and then start breathing again.
So So she says it runs in her family, the breathing issues. And so I don't know if maybe everyone in her family has oxygen at home that they use, but I would be surprised if that was the case. So again, that was, I think, the claim that people were like, okay, come on, brother. Let's be really, it runs in your family. Like, come on, let's be honest here, you know?
So take very short, shallow chest breathing instead of deep from like our diaphragm, our stomach, and really get like that deep breath. I wanted to address also what else I'm doing besides at-home oxygen to help my breathing. Did get at-home oxygen, which I've done it for about a week now, and it's making a huge difference. So I'm really excited about that. Other thing I am doing is this little contraption here. I don't know what it's called, but you blow into it and you try to get it like as high as you can, and it gets you to do like that deep breathing. So this is something I would recommend or ask your doctor about. I also use an inhaler, which also helps to open my airway, which helps to open my airways. There we go. And help just get that deep breathing going. So that's also something that's making a huge difference. Be also doing like a meditation kind of where I listen to music or like a video. I've been putting the like the fireplace, what's it called? Like the fireplace screensaver on the TV, and finding one that's just like a really pretty scenery or somewhere like that, and watching that and just breathing. Those are kind of the things I'm doing besides the oxygen to hopefully help my breathing and to heal my breathing and to learn how to kind of breathe properly. I still notice I hold my breath a lot. Like sometimes even watching TV, I hold my breath. It's weird. I don't know why. But being aware of it also is a huge thing, because then you can kind of force yourself to kind of do it. And throughout the day, just really making sure you're taking those deep breaths. We're going to, like Dory says, keep swimming.
So she goes on to say we're going to keep working on it, right? And so when you watch the video, it's clear, right? There's no mention of like, hey, I'm going to start really focusing on trying to lose weight to make this a little bit easier for myself. And the response that we have to this message, right, which I think is really, really kind of interesting, because this is the response that you see a lot. So the top comment on this post, right, at least the top comment that I see, is from someone that is, trying to help, right? And then they go on to say, girl, please let me help you. I will put you first in line above everyone as someone who has spent her entire life obese, battled restrictive EDs, and ultimately found health. The least we could do is start working on small nutrition changes that will help relieve some of the pressure around your lungs. I also suffer from chronic hyperventilation and disordered breathing as a result of trauma, but my body is still going and doesn't require oxygen. We gotta get you some help, girl. Seriously, I'm here for you, even if it's just to talk, right? And the response is, I have said this many times that I am working with a team and my lab work is good. And I'm working with a lung doctor, so I have a good support system around me, and I'm doing my best to try and lose weight while recovering from an ED, right? And that's kind of the crux of a lot of this, is that because I am recovering from an ED, it is basically, it almost feels like impossible for me to lose weight. And like, everyone is different. I get it. But when you are putting your story out there and you are, trying to be an influencer, like if we look at this story, which is from just a few days ago, actually, she goes on to write, today's dinner was so good. I have been making recipes from Skinny Taste and I am obsessed. And she tags this brand, where it's just so weird to see this in conjunction with the post that we just talked about, because it's like the antithesis of each. Is that the right term? I don't know. I think I've tried to use that word multiple times and been wrong every time, but they're very much so opposites. Okay. And so like, this thing is called Skinny Taste. Skinny Taste. It is the opposite of everything we've seen on this page, right? So it seems like it's clear that she is still trying to be an influencer. And like, fair enough, but if you are trying to be an influencer and you're sharing this stuff, of course you are going to have people that are like, hey, you were someone that lost hundreds of pounds. shared that journey, got loose skin surgery, shared that journey, started gaining some weight. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's very common for people that lose a lot of weight, especially in my opinion, people that get loose skin surgery immediately after they've lost weight. I think that that's something that you should really put off if you can for a little bit, just so you're used to having the weight off. But that's besides the point. But then she started gaining some weight. And now we're at a point where we are heavier and more unhealthy than we were when we started this journey that you said that you did because of how unhealthy you felt, right? And so it's like, of course people are going to be worried, right? And then with all of the health complications and things that have happened, it's like we're at a point where it's like, man, what are we doing here, right? Like, why are we not focusing on this one thing that is clearly a huge part of this whole thing, right? And with Jacqueline, there's a lot of other stuff that I obviously skipped through. I wanted to really try and focus on the things that I thought made sense in this video. That she's obviously been posting quite a bit. So there's a lot of stuff that I could go over, but I don't want this video to be 3 years long. And so those are the things that I wanted to focus on. I am very curious to see where things go from here. But that's kind of the update that a lot of people have been asking for. I'm very curious what y'all think down in the comment section down below. If you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it if you could leave a like. That helps out the channel, as well as any comments or anything like that. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.